China's Tofu-Dreg crisis. A nation built on lies collapses. The heat is suffocating, but it's the rain that's tearing China apart. Across the nation, towering skyscrapers, gleaming apartment blocks, and bustling schools, symbols of China's meteoric rise, are crumbling like wet sand. The term Tofu-Dreg, born from the 2008 Sichuan earthquake's devastation, now haunts a nation as buildings collapse under the weight of this year's brutal monsoon season. It's not just the rain, says Li Wei, a Guangdong resident whose apartment building developed cracks after a week of downpours. These buildings were never meant to last. They sold us a dream, but it's all a lie. From Jiangsu to Sichuan, the 2025 rainy season has exposed a national scandal, shoddy construction, systemic corruption, and a silenced truth that have turned homes into death traps and shattered the illusion of China's unstoppable progress. For decades, China's real estate boom was heralded as a miracle. Cities like Shenzhen, Shanghai, and second-tier hubs like Jiangxi mushroomed overnight, their skylines a testament to breakneck growth. Gross domestic product (GDP) soared as developers raced to erect towers, schools, and hospitals, fueled by government incentives and a frenzy for modernization. But behind the glittering facades lay a ticking time bomb: Tofu-Dreg buildings so fragile they crumble like wet tofu under pressure. These structures, built with substandard cement, brittle steel, and foundations barely anchored to the earth, are the product of a system that prioritized speed over safety, profit over people, and propaganda over accountability. As the 2025 monsoon rages, the cracks in these buildings, and in China's social contract, are splitting wide open. A national emergency built, brick by brick. This year's torrential rains sweeping through southern and central China have transformed streets into rivers and exposed the rot within the nation's infrastructure. In Jiangxi's Ganzhou, a 12-story apartment tower split in half after 5 days of relentless rain on July 3, 2025. Cracks spiderwebbed up the walls before half the building collapsed, sending rubble crashing into the streets. Miraculously, no lives were lost, but 200 families were left homeless. I poured my life savings into that apartment, says Zhang Mei, a displaced resident. Now it's gone, and no one's giving me answers. In Hunan's Changsha, an elementary school built in 2017, saw its roof cave in during a July 6 downpour, forcing children to flee as water poured through shattered ceilings. Parents who had long complained of moldy walls and rusted beams now demand accountability. Local officials admitted the foundation lacked proper reinforcements and waterproofing, a cost-cutting measure ignored during construction. In Sichuan, entire neighborhoods are deemed unsafe as walls sweat with moisture seeping from within the concrete itself. Tiles pop off balconies, bend, and staircases shift ominously. We're afraid to sleep in our own home, says Wang Jun, a Chengdu resident. The walls are cracking and no one's coming to help. Social media is ablaze with videos capturing the crisis in real time: tiles exploding under pressure, walls splitting like eggshells, and entire facades peeling away. In Guangdong, a viral video shows a man chaining himself to his apartment door, shouting, "I worked 20 years for this home. Where am I supposed to go?" In poorer third-tier cities like Yiwu, residents report no inspections, no repairs, just silence from authorities. A leaked document from Ganzhou's municipal government circulating on X warns that over 2,000 buildings constructed between 2011 and 2019 are at risk of collapse post-flooding in just one city. Nationwide, the number could reach tens of thousands. This isn't a weather crisis. It's a man-made disaster built brick by corrupted brick. 3 deadly ingredients of collapse. The crisis stems from 3 systemic failures, each rooted in a broken system that favored appearances over integrity. 1. Speed over safety. China's race for growth turned deadly. For decades, local governments measured success by square footage and GDP figures, rushing mega projects to meet ambitious targets. Developers under pressure to deliver built entire neighborhoods in months using cheap cement, substandard steel, and minimal waterproofing. Inspections were perfunctory, often reduced to bribes and rubber stamps. They wanted buildings up fast to look good for the party, says Liu Feng, a former construction worker in Jiangsu. No one cared if they'd stand. They just wanted the photo op. In second and third-tier cities where oversight was weakest, entire districts rose on shaky foundations, their flaws hidden beneath glossy exteriors. Now, under the 2025 monsoon's relentless assault, these time bombs are detonating. 2. Tofu-Dreg construction. The term Tofu-Dreg encapsulates a web of corruption and greed. Developers and officials struck backroom deals bypassing competitive bidding. Subcontractors chasing razor-thin margins used sand-filled concrete and rotting rebar. Schools, hospitals, and apartment blocks praised as symbols of progress are now crumbling. In Shanxi's Xi'an, a 2022 residential tower partially collapsed during heavy rains, killing 3. Local media was silenced, and the official report blamed the weather, not the shoddy construction. No one takes responsibility, says Xu Ying, a Xi'an tenant. The developers got rich, the officials got promoted, and we're left with ruins. Accountability vanishes in a maze of shadowy players, leaving citizens to pay the price, sometimes with their lives. 3. Suppressed truth. In a system prioritizing stability, truth is the first casualty. Whistleblowers face prison, and inspectors who raise concerns are sidelined. State media downplays collapses as localized structural incidents, while censors scrub videos from platforms like Weibo. When a Hunan hospital's roof leaked on July 8, 2025, injuring 2 patients, local reports vanished within hours. They don't want us to know how bad it is, says Feng Yang, a blogger who shared footage before it was deleted. But you can't hide a falling building. Without transparency, reform is impossible. The cycle of corruption and collapse continues unchecked, leaving residents in fear and despair. The human and economic toll. The physical damage is only part of the story. In cities like Jiangxi, Shanxi, and Sichuan, families camp outside their homes, too terrified to sleep under cracking roofs. Elderly couples huddle in stairwells. Parents keep children away from unstable balconies. My kids won't sleep alone anymore, says Ma Jing, a Sichuan mother. They're scared the ceiling will fall. Many are still paying mortgages on uninhabitable apartments, with banks refusing to freeze payments and local governments offering no aid. Makeshift camps have sprung up on city outskirts resembling refugee zones. In Yiwu, a tent city of 300 displaced families emerged after a July 5th collapse with no clear relocation plan. Economically, the crisis is catastrophic. China's real estate sector, once 30% of GDP, is imploding. The Shenzhen Statistics Bureau reports a 9.2% drop in fixed asset investment in 2025, with state investments down 14.2% and private ones 11.8%. The collapse of firms like Vanke, reliant on 21.1 billion yuan in loans to survive, signals broader distress. Exports vital to cities like Shenzhen fell 8.6%, hit by U.S. tariffs and overcapacity in industries like electric vehicles. The government pushed us to produce more, but there's no market, says factory owner Zhao Hui. Now factories and buildings are collapsing together. A silent psychological crisis. Beyond the physical wreckage lies a quieter collapse, a psychological unraveling. Psychologists in affected cities report surging cases of anxiety, depression, and PTSD-like symptoms. Children suffer night terrors, refusing to sleep near walls. It's not just the buildings, says Dr. Chen Li, a Guangzhou therapist. People feel betrayed. They trusted the system, and it failed them. Parents describe a haunting sense of insecurity, living in homes that could collapse at any moment. Social media reflects this despair with posts like, "Even our homes are fake." What's left to believe in? The CCP's silence exacerbates the trauma. By downplaying the crisis and censoring reports, officials send a message: victims' suffering is inconvenient. They tell us it's just rain, but we're losing everything, says Yang Tao, a displaced Hunan resident. This silencing erodes trust in the social contract. Decades of trading silence for stability now feel like a broken promise. If the walls fall, will the system fall too? Asks a Weibo user, echoing growing cynicism, even among loyalists. A nation pulling apart. The crisis is fracturing communities. In disaster zones, cooperation is giving way to survivalism. Residents stop reporting cracks, distrusting authorities. Neighbors once united now hoard resources, fearing scarcity. No one trusts anyone anymore, says Feng Lei, a Shenzhen shopkeeper. Not the government, not developers, not each other. This isolation risks making future disasters invisible until they strike. Without trust, communities unravel, leaving individuals to face the crisis alone. The deeper collapse is in belief itself, faith in safety, fairness, and the future is eroding. I worked 30 years for my home, says Ma Lin, a Guangdong retiree. Now it's worthless, and the government doesn't care. China may continue building upward, but inwardly its foundation is cracking. The Tofu-Dreg crisis isn't just about falling buildings, it's about a nation losing its moorings. A call for truth and reform. This crisis, born of corruption and silenced truth, demands accountability. The CCP must allow independent investigations, hold developers and officials responsible, and prioritize safety over propaganda. Residents deserve transparency and support, not censorship and abandonment. As the rains continue, China faces a choice: confront the lies that built this disaster, or watch its cities and its people crumble further. Share your thoughts below. Stay tuned for updates on China's infrastructure crisis, and subscribe for the latest reports.